All right, hello everybody. This is John Hansen for the Florida Physique Report, episode number 9. Today is Wednesday, September 10th, 2014, and on today's show, we are going to be talking about the results of the NPC Royal Palm Classic, which took place last week at Fort Myers Beach, Florida. And we're also going to have a preview of the upcoming St. Pete Muscle Classic, which is coming up this weekend at the Tampa Bay Convention Center in Tampa, Florida. And our special guest this week, our interview of the week, is with Mark Antonek. Mark is the promoter of the St. Pete Muscle Classic, and he's also a professional bodybuilder himself. We have a good conversation with Mark talking about his career and also his struggles with Parkinson's disease. Mark was diagnosed with Parkinson's disease about a year after he got his pro card, so we're going to talk to Mark about the struggles that he's had to face with that. We were supposed to have Naomi Ola on the show today as a guest, but she, of course, is getting ready for the Olympia Bikini, which is taking place next weekend in Vegas, so she's very, very busy with her preparations for that, so she had to cancel, so we understand that. All those athletes getting ready for that show obviously are in their last stages of preparation, so it's obviously very hard. So we wish her the best of luck. We are broadcasting live from the Powerhouse Gym in downtown Tampa, Florida. And let's begin with the Royal Palm Classic. This took place last weekend, September 6th, at Fort Myers Beach, Florida, promoted by Calvin Choi. This was his 7th year promoting the show. Very good show. They had about 84 competitors. A lot of first-time competitors won the overall in their very first show. So a lot of new talent coming out this weekend. So let's go over the results real quick. It started off with the Masters Figure Division. The over 50 was won by Ann Graybeck. The over 40 was won by Barbara Hall. Barbara has been competing for several years now. This was like her 7th show, but she never won an overall. So Barbara won the over 40, and then she won in the over 30 division, and she won the over 30. And then, of course, for the overall, Barbara Hall won the overall Masters Figure, her very first overall. So congratulations to Barbara. Then we went into the Novice Figure. Leah Clark was the winner there. Moving on to the Novice Bodybuilding, Antonio Petco, not the biggest guy, but he was the hardest in the class. He won the overall. Paul Emmerling was second. Paul was also very hard, got a couple of first place votes. Great leg development on Paul. And then Christopher Torelli got 3rd place. I really like Christopher's physique. I mentioned this in the photo report on FloridaPhysique.com. He's got great shape, great symmetry, just needs to come in a little bit harder, but he's got all the potential to do very well in the future. In the Masters Bodybuilding, they had a lot of competitors. It was very competitive, especially the over 60 division, which was won by the incredible 78-year-old Charles Johnson. Charles won the 1965 Mr. Wisconsin, so that just goes to show you how long Charles has been involved in the sport. Took off quite a few years. He came back a couple years ago. And for 78 years old, this guy is absolutely incredible. Very good definition and great muscle tone for his age. So we had a good interview with Charles, which is on the Florida Physique Report. We did that right after the contest. You want to check that out because Charles is really an amazing bodybuilder. The over 50 division went to Jim Fish. He won by 1 point over Pete Atamazidis. Pete's an old friend of mine from Chicago. 1 point decision. Jim was a little bit harder, but I thought Pete had better shape and symmetry. Very close decision there. The over 40 contest went to Josh Meehan. And then the over 35 was pretty competitive. Christian O'Rourke won the class. First time Christian's ever competed. He's been training a long time, but he never competed until last weekend. Very good physique. Pretty good size, very hard, very energetic on stage. Christian was unusual because he had a very long beard, which is unusual to see on a bodybuilding competition. And then for the overall, Christian O'Rourke was the overall winner. In the Novice Bikini Division, very big class. I think they had about over 12 competitors. Gabriela Sanchez was the winner there. Then moving on to the Masters Bikini in the over 40, Rochelle Kazakos was the winner in the over 40 division, and Jill Christine won the over 35. In the overall, Jill Christine was the winner. Moving on to the Figure Open, Class A was won by Deborah Soros. Class B went to Barbara Hall, who also won the Masters. And then Class C was the novice winner, Leah Clark. For the overall, Barbara Hall won the overall figure open division. So 2 overall victories for Barbara in this contest. Congratulations to her. Moving on to the men's physique, the Masters men's physique started off with the over 40 division. Fred Gonzalez, who I believe as they said was a firefighter. Fred was shredded, great abs, in great condition. Over 35 was won by Joe Rumley, and then in the overall, Fred Gonzalez won the overall. He looked fantastic. Congratulations to Fred. Moving on to the novice men's physique, very competitive. Jems Midor was the winner there. And then in the men's physique open, Class A which was the medium class. They didn't have a short class. So Class A went to Giovanni Reyes, and Class B went to Chris Papasavas. Chris is a competitor from New York, first time ever competing out in the Florida area, and he told me he's done about 4 or 5 shows, has never lost an overall, has won an overall every show he's been in. So he's not a U.S. citizen, so he won't be doing the Nationals, but he will be going to the Arnold Classic next February in Columbus, Ohio, and he's hoping to get his pro card there. He's very confident. He thinks he's going to win it for sure. The Bikini Open, Class A was won by Gabriela Sanchez, who was also the novice winner. Stacy Berries won the Class B. Melissa Wolf won Class C. And the overall Bikini Open went to Gabriela Sanchez. So again, 2 overall victories for Gabriela that night. Very good for her. And then finally in the open bodybuilding division, the bantamweight went to Jim Fish, the over 50 winner. Lightweight went to Antonio Petco. And the middleweight went to Dayron Frequez. Dayron had a great physique, very finished, really good abs, great condition. Got to give him props. And the light heavyweight went to Ronaldo Greenon, who is a native of Cuba. He's been living in the Florida area for about, I think, 5 years, 7 years, something like that. This was his very first show. He decided about a year ago to do this. He's been training for 2 years, and he won the overall. We did an interview with Ronaldo after the show. He was very emotional, as a lot of people are after they win a contest, because if you've never competed before, it's a very, very, very big undertaking. A lot of dieting, a lot of training, and it can get your mind as much as your body. So congratulations, Ronaldo. I'm sure he's got a good future ahead of him. He'll probably be competing again next year. All right, this weekend we got the St. Pete Muscle Classic, which is going to be September 13th. It's going to be held at the Tampa Bay Convention Center. Mark Antonek, who is a pro bodybuilder, is going to be the promoter. I believe this is Mark's 4th year promoting this show. He had a really big show last year. It was at the, I think it was at the Palladium in St. Petersburg, and they sold the show out. They had like 200 people trying to get in. They couldn't even get them in, so he had to move to a bigger venue. And we got an interview with Mark coming up right after this break. So we're going to talk to Mark about his career as a pro bodybuilder and also his career as a promoter. And we're going to talk to him about his struggles with overcoming Parkinson's disease. Mark has been struggling with that for the last few years. So we got a really, really good interview with Mark Antonek. I hope you'll stay tuned for that. All right, let's take a break. This is the Florida Physique Report. When we come back, our guest will be Mark Antonek, pro bodybuilder, who is promoting the St. Pete Muscle Classic. We'll be right back. All right, welcome back to the Florida Physique Report. This is John Hansen, and we're here with our special guest, Mark Antonek, who is promoting the St. Pete Muscle Beach Classic, right? Is that what it's called?
St. Pete Muscle Classic.
St. Pete Muscle Classic. Okay.
We could throw a beach in there if you want. Just go to Home Depot, buy some
Everybody else does, right?
Bags of sand. Yeah.
So, Mark, this is your 4th year, right? Promoting
yes,
the show?
sir. Yes. Starting to get acclimated over the speed bumps and emotional highs and lows. Mm-hmm. As you know, the promoter the first year, you don't know what to expect. Similar to being an athlete, first time on stage. So I feel a little more comfortable, and it's gonna be a great show this year.
Now it's going to be in the Tampa Convention Center this year.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. We last year at the other venue, the Palladium Theater, was an excellent venue. We really loved it. We didn't anticipate outgrowing that venue so soon.
Yeah.
It sat 860 seats, and we sent 200 people home. We wanted to see them, and
Wow.
we want their money. So
yeah,
so we went a little bigger this time, and we're looking forward to seeing if it pays off.
Yeah, I went to that show last year, and I remember it was packed. I mean, you had people all the way up to the back of the auditorium full up. So we were just talking about this as a promoter now. I mean, you got like decent response on your first couple of years, but then it really grew over the last couple of years, right? And last year was probably, was definitely your biggest year, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if it's a common practice. You know, you and I had talked about it. Your show did really well, and you get a lot of late entries. And the first 2 years it was successful in the means of it's an early show. Then last year it just blossomed, and we almost doubled our competitors. We hit over 100 competitors, and we expect that this year. I guess I contributed to two variables. One, and no pat on my back because I have a great supporting cast, but the show I believe is a very good show, and not to be skewed and you know, but also just getting the word out. It takes a while to get the word out. I mean, even some layman people talk, they're like, oh, there's more than one show than the Tampa Classic. Because John's had his show for 31 years.
Right,
so
right.
People in the non-bodybuilding world know about Tampa Classic. And my show is 4 years old. You're going into your second year. And maybe we could sit here 5 years from now and they go, hey, Hansen and Antonek show, you know? So,
right.
Yeah, we'll get there.
Yeah. Yeah, it seems like, especially in the Florida area, there's so many shows. There's like one every weekend that we're covering here on the Florida Physique thing. And it just seems like it takes a while for people to know. And then once people know that it's a certain time, it's a certain year, you know, a certain place, then they start planning for like a year ahead of time.
And that's what's good about the NPC. I mean, every year in December we have our meeting, and we keep in sequence for the shows.
Yeah.
So it's not like, okay, Hansen's in March, now you're in June or August.
Right.
Antonek's in February. That would really mess up the
That throws everybody off. Yeah.
So we have a sequence of shows, and people have their favorites or non-favorites, and what time of the year. And what amazes me is there's so many shows every weekend. You think there'd be an oversaturation of shows to competitors, and every show's rocking it.
I know, that amazes me too.
It speaks for Florida.
Yeah.
So those that win a show in Florida, you got to pat yourself on the back because that's a heck of a job.
Yeah, definitely. Now, Mark, you're from the New York area originally, right?
Yeah, New York, New Jersey. Born and raised in New Jersey. Lived in the Bronx for a little bit before coming down. Moved down to Florida about 12 years ago. Transferred my law enforcement from up there and worked with the Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office as a patrol deputy for 6 years.
Okay.
And became an IFBB pro. And from the early onset, I was diagnosed with Parkinson's disease. And like
how long ago was that when you were diagnosed with that?
Let me see. I got my pro card in '09, and I think I was diagnosed in late 10 or 11.
Oh wow!
But looking back at my amateur videos, I still had a stiff gait and stuff. So we believe the onset was probably even in my amateur career. So pretty much my whole pro career I did with Parkinson's. So. Which, you know, I'm kind of proud of. I wasn't crowned a champion, but in my books, you know, with a disability and fighting it, I think it's an inspiration for everybody, not to just say me, but, you know, I look at other people and say, you can do it too. The only disability in life is a bad attitude. So as long as you wake up every morning like that, you can conquer anything. So.
Right. What show did you get your pro card at?
North American.
Okay.
Yeah, that was the year that Sean Roden kicked my ass in the open, as he kicked everybody's ass, and I won the over 40 Masters.
Okay, gotcha.
So, yeah.
Okay. Now we were just talking. Now, what years did you start competing? When did you start competing in bodybuilding?
Another good, interesting story. I'll be 50 in February, and my first show was after I was 40. The Hurricane, Tim Gardner.
Really?
Yeah, and it was one of these things. Just you know, late bloomer. Had a lot of things on my plate, college, marriage with kids, and you know, then the divorce, then the transplant, the spare time, and the right people, the right places, and next thing you know, I'm on stage flexing, and I won, and I said, hey, let me try this again, and I was never about, I'm going to go pro. It was more about, I just want to do the best I can in the next show.
Right.
And I think that's good advice for every competitor. Don't go in and say, I hope I beat this guy, beat that. Just worry about yourself and just say, you know, I'm going to have tunnel vision. I'm going to prep myself for X amount of weeks, and I'm going to get on stage at 110%. And you let the cards fall where they may.
Right.
You know. So.
How many years were you training at that point?
Oh man, I was training since I was 16 years old.
Okay.
I grew up in a tough situation, and I was a little kid, and I got my ass kicked all the time. So I actually went to the gym for self-preservation.
Yeah.
But after I picked up the weights, and my job was to build muscles to protect myself, it became, I'm going to build my muscles because I like to.
Yeah.
And I actually enjoyed it.
Right.
And I had a passion for it. And that's what I tell everybody as far as health and fitness. As we're doing this interview at Powerhouse South Tampa here.
Yeah.
Plug for them. They have a bunch of equipment, not just for guys like John and me, but for other people, CrossFit and everything. And I always tell people, they may not want to be like you or me. That's fine. Do some other type of training. You have to have a passion for what you're doing. And as long as you have a passion, you could do your whole life.
Yeah.
You know, and but I started at 16 under different pretense, and it just became a love of mine. And even though I didn't get on stage to flex, I was in a bodybuilding training mode since I was 16.
Yeah.
Just obsessed with weights.
Yeah.
My friend and I broke into a neighbor's house basement window because they had weights in there, because the gym was closed. So we snuck in. The people were sleeping upstairs. We kept the lights out. We pumped up. We snuck back out the window and shut the window.
Right.
I mean, we were just weights, 110 miles an hour.
Now, were you aware of bodybuilding at this time, or were you just doing weights?
You're very familiar with the history of the powers to be, and John Kemper.
Yeah.
From Maplewood, New Jersey.
Yeah.
He was the NPC chairman, like Peter Potter is.
For Florida.
He was for Jersey. And he had a gym outside of Newark, New Jersey, Maplewood, which is not in the nicest area. So you had a lot of tough kids growing up in the neighborhood gravitating to, it was almost like a boys club.
Diamond Gym, right?
Yes, Diamond Gym. And Kemper was a mentor to a lot of kids, including me. And I was a shy little kid going in there, and I saw Johnny Moran.
Yeah.
And there's always a king of the gym. You know, we got Ben Pekulski here and some other big shots. And Johnny Morant was the man.
Right.
Funny story about Johnny, not to burn up your tape, but
no.
One time Johnny goes in, and it's a boys club, you know, so we're in there, and some kid goes, "Yo, Morant, can you do this?" Skinny kid, 5'9", $110, does a flip. So everybody looks at Johnny. Well, how is he going to beat that? And Johnny goes, "Can you do this?" Boom! It's a double bicep, and they're like, "Yay!" Johnny's like, "Man, I did a flip." They're like, "Johnny's got the guns," you know. But that's the kind of gym it was, and you know, a lot of cool people came out of there, man. So that lit the fire, and then I always tell people, Kemper planted the seed, and then Tim Gardner blossomed it, and nurtured it, and made it grow. So.
And Tim's show was the first one you did here.
Yeah, and ironically, Tim's was the first, was it the first pro show I did? No, he was the first amateur show. I did Tim Gardner's Hurricane, I won. The Extravaganza, I won. And the Tampa Pro show I did, which is, that's another story. I'm gonna
good.
I was a bodybuilding fan, so I called Tim, I said, "Tim, please, I'll carry weights, I'll mop the floor, I'll clean the bathrooms.
Right.
I want to be backstage. I want to see Tony Freeman. I want to see Dennis James. I want to see these guys." So, okay, 4 o'clock in the morning, come to my gym and get the weights. Okay, if that's what I got to do, coach. So I go get the weights, 4 o'clock in the morning, put the weights in it. I'm back room, and I get to see these stars, and I'm hanging out with the stars. The next year, Tim goes, "Do the Tim Gardner Extravaganza." So I do it, and then 2 weeks later, and then I won the Florida State, and then I won North America, became a pro. So the second year, I competed in the Extravaganza is coupled with the Tampa Pro.
Right.
So I did that. Then the third year he had the Tampa Pro. I competed in it as a pro.
Wow.
So it was like a Cinderella story. I was like,
That's
wait a minute.
great story.
I was the janitor in year 1. Then I was the no-name amateur, and now I'm a pro in Tampa. So it was like, and my son came to see it, and it was a euphoric feeling. And it's one of these sports where you have to live it 24 hours a day.
Yeah.
So when you make an accomplishment, it has such more magnitude to it than hitting a home run, in my opinion, or something like that.
Yeah.
So I'll always have those memories to reflect back on.
Yeah.
And now being a promoter, I'm just going to vicariously live through the younger guys and eat my chili dogs backstage while I cheer them on. So.
Now, did you compete after you got your pro card as a pro?
Yeah, I did. The first show I did the Orlando Europa, finished 8th. Then I did, I think it was the Tampa Pro. I don't know what order. Tampa Pro, Europa Hartford, Tijuana Pro, Masters Olympia.
Okay.
I think there was about 5. That was
How'd you do in the Masters Olympia?
16th. You know, it was once again it was a great show because, by all recognition, I was in the middle value of bodybuilders. I never was able to achieve the mega stardom. So I wasn't going to have the opportunity to compete against a Dexter Jackson, a Dennis James.
Right.
And I did.
Yeah. And that's what I was going to ask you. How it felt to be on stage with those guys. It's like the single A Yankee guys saying, "Okay, Jeter and these guys are coming up. Let's scrimmage them." Yeah.
That I welcome that.
Right.
You know, I got interviewed by Aaron Singerman. He's like, "What do you think about this?" I'm like, "Dude, I'm not afraid of anybody.
Yeah.
I'll stand up next to Jay Cutler. I mean, to tell my kids I stood up next to Jay Cutler,
right.
Kick my ass, bring it on."
Right.
I mean, as a competitor, you want that. You want to be put up against the best. And the reality is, at this level, ranked number 1 in the world and 30th in the world is inches.
Yeah.
It really is. It could be the way you posed or hit it that day or whatever, but You know, so yeah, I have some sweet memories.
Yeah,
sweet memories being the pro.
That's what it's all about.
Yeah.
Now, were you diagnosed with the Parkinson's before you ever did a pro show, or was that later on?
No, the Europa I did, and then after the Europa I was diagnosed, and then I was going to hang it up, and I did one, then I did another, and it was harder. Yeah. And then my last one was the Europa Orlando, the Europa Hartford, and I said, I am absolutely done. And then they announced the Masters Olympia, and I said, you got to be kidding me. It's like, you know,
I got to do that one.
It's putting chocolate chip cookies on the table with a 5-year-old and saying, I'm going to go upstairs, but don't touch them.
Right.
I said, I want to go out like this. I want to go out to Masters Olympia, and yeah, it was totally awesome.
Now, what were the challenges to you? You know, having the Parkinson's and then keep going on, and especially competing in a show.
Well, there are obvious downfalls. It's a neuromuscular disease, so you can see me shaking, and I give the analogy of like a short circuit wire firing and not firing the neurons. So my right hand is good, so I could just go like this. Yeah. But this goes on and off like in nanoseconds. So it doesn't have the power. See, I thought I was going to have some atrophy and different things, which I didn't. But I had to deal with some symmetrical issues and try to hide with posing. Yeah. The obvious shaking, I don't think it really bothered the judges. But the positive sign was it taught me how to bodybuild. I think a lot of people think powerlifting is bodybuilding. Yeah. And when I was a young kid, we had these alpha male testosterone pissing contests. Mm-hmm. Get on the bench, and I'm gonna out bench Vinny and Joey and Johnny. And, right. But the reality is, we want to hit the 8 to 12 rep range. Mm-hmm. You want to be really. So with the Parkinson's, I'd use wraps. And believe it or not, I mean, you know, let me give you an example. There was times when my ego was younger, and I'd take 75-pound dumbbells to do curls. I called it a curl, but I think it was a whole body workout, right? And then I did the Darren Charles workout with like 20-pound dumbbells and just squeezing. Let me tell you something. My arms got bigger, I got better burn, and I became a bodybuilder. Yeah. So that forced my hand. So in a sense, talking about getting ready for the Masters Olympia with the disability, it helped me in a sense, and kind of in a peculiar way, you know, a little bit of a way. But there was issues about all the medication I was on. I take several Parkinson meds, psychiatric meds for the Parkinson's. It's not just your motor skills, it affects your psyche. Also, I mentioned earlier, I was served on the SWAT team. My team responded to ground zero. Had pulmonary disease, so I couldn't do any cardio. Had trouble breathing. Had trouble hitting 12 rep sets. So I had all these factors in. Had GERD, COPD. Man, I would take canned oxygen to the gym. Really? Whatever I could do, I had to pause my rest. It affected me more. The off season wasn't too bad because I could stagger my rest and jack up my carbs. But when contest comes time, traditionally I like to do it in like 45 minutes in high speed. I couldn't do it because my wind, so I'd have to break, maybe do 2 workouts that day, alter my diet to try to come in for 20 minutes because of the breathing problems. I've actually been put on a lot of good inhalers and medications. And I got a breathing apparatus at home that helps me. And in fact, today I went to the World Trade Center Health Responder Fund, and the first time I blew on the machine a failure rating, which sounds terrible, but I was never even able to get that reading. Really? Wow. My wind was so bad, they couldn't even get it, so they had no idea how much damage it was. So today, for them to get the failure, we were really happy with the research team because they said, okay, medications will be working. His output is hitting failure. So hopefully maybe we can get that to a D-, a D, or whatever, and work our way up. So it'll never be the same, but there was many obstacles around it. But as you know, as a bodybuilder, we're warriors, we're fighters. Yeah. So you have to take, I always took on the attitude of like, bring it on. I don't care what you give me. You know, put a wall in front of me, I'll go over it, around it, through it. I don't give a crap. Right. Just give me adversity, it makes me stronger. Right. If anything, I felt, it's like when I went to college, I took 21 credits and worked at UPS for 4 hours a night, and I had the highest GPA. The next semester I panicked, did 12 credits, didn't work, and I did worse. You put me in adverse situations, and it brings out the champions in everybody. Yeah, yeah. So these people that are listening to the video, when you have a full-time job, you got a single mom with the kids, you got to make meals, your mom is sick, you got to move in and take care of your mom, that's going to help you. That's actually going to enhance you because it makes you streamline your play. I've even heard people like in the NBA, the guy's sick, he's got the flu, he lights him up for 40 points because he's got to dig deep in with inside and actually think about maximizing his resource.
Yeah, I do interviews like this all the time, and I run into people, and you know, there's always people that have obstacles in their life, and it seems like the bodybuilding, you know, it's funny how the outside world looks at bodybuilders. You know, they look at us a bunch of meatheads who just are narcissistic and all we care about ourselves, but they don't realize that with this training and all the the hard work you go through, it really builds your character. And when you are faced with adversity like you were, then you find a way to get around it. You find a way to keep going in the face of that adversity, and it's because you have a strong character, which was built through the weight training. Right. Yeah.
I make a correlation between the tangibles and intangibles. They, for example, when we were law enforcement, they said you should have your shirt press, your gig line all squared away, because you give an impression when you step out of the car, he's squared away. If he looks like that on the outside, he probably knows his laws and standards of operational procedures and everything. My thing is with bodybuilding, if you spend so much time trying to perfect this, you actually work on your heart and your inside.
Yeah.
And I had a troubled kid background, I had some psych issues I had to work with, and some anger and hurt and resentment. But if I'm looking in the mirror focusing on this, at some point, if I'm so concentrated on making myself a better person, I can't say, well, I'm going to let my heart and mind and soul go to waste and build up my other part. It has to pull it up, or you're going to be in a polar conflict.
Right.
So bodybuilding helped me out become a better man, too.
Right.
So, and now my newest challenges is the Parkinson's, where now I don't wear the law enforcement uniform. I don't have the big muscles as I used to. So now I really have to, my newest battle in life now is to get deeper into my soul and find bigger strength in here and meet and talk to people like you, John, and preach out to other people that bodybuilding can be a lifelong lifestyle, but it can lead to bigger and better things in life.
Right.
You know, I really, you're gonna think I'm crazy by saying this, but I think it can make you a better father, better businessman, better companion, because you really can't come in haphazardly and work out. You have to be so in tune, especially the way you competed, John, all natural and everything. You can't slip up. Right. Because it's a tsunami effect. You mess up Monday, still Wednesday you're playing to catch up.
Yeah.
So it's like, but you're so dotting your I's and crossing your T's. You're not just going to go out and be a slob in other parts of your life.
Right, right.
So for those fans that are interested and haven't seen bodybuilding shows, come see John's or my show. Look up on FloridaNPC.org. There's a list of all the Florida shows and stuff. You know, go see one. Go visit a show that's local in your area, and talk to the competitors, because they'll give you a spark. Yeah,
absolutely. Now we're on, today is September 10th, and tomorrow, as you mentioned, is September 11th. And I didn't know this till we just talked earlier. You were at the World Trade Center when all that happened, because you were with the SWAT team with the police force in New York. So you want to talk a little bit about that, because you were one of the first responders at the that tragedy.
We got a call that the Twin Tower was hit, and I was with my commander, and when we got called, we laughed. We thought it was a suspect. Oh, that's funny. Where do you guys want to go for lunch? He says, no, we're serious. I think there's a terrorist thing going on. So, okay, let's go down there. And as we were heading down the billow of smoke, the first building had collapsed, and we got there, and it was a rough scene, John. We hadn't been trained in urban warfare.
Yeah.
We like Rangers or SEALs, you train in adverse situations,
right.
High tides, water, woods, desert. But nobody's training with taxi cabs driving around, buildings, things still on the infrastructure, the power grid going out,
right.
The toxic fumes and waste and things. I mean, this building was built in the 70s. So our first thing was to try to save lives and go in there, and found body parts, found stuff I wouldn't even want to tell you, but it was it's still hard on me, man.
Yeah. Now this is affecting your health, as you were saying, because you were just getting your lungs tested and stuff because of the asbestos from the building. You know that you were there for 10 days. You said, right?
16-hour days. 16-hour days. Yeah. 10 days, and we were in the pits. We didn't wear masks. We weren't advised to wear masks.
Wow. I just didn't know, because it was something totally new. It never happened before.
Get in there and do your thing, and we still wore our tactical gear. We had guns on us. I mean, here we are digging for bodies. We still have guns because there was no protocol.
Right. Right.
Part of the problem, the infrastructure was taken out because the command post was in one of the buildings. So a lot of the hierarchy of the command, the the chain of command went down. So there was a lot of chaos in the beginning, and we didn't have a lot of leadership, and FEMA didn't get there right away. And,
wow.
There's a lot of emotional attachment. The firefighters and the cops, and even the steel iron workers were coming in trying to save everybody. And then, you know, some brass would come in and say, we're going to do it this way. It was hard. We lost a lot of good people there, you know.
Yeah, definitely.
But yeah, I suffered some physical damages, and I'm still constantly getting tested. The pulmonary, and you know, had a surgery on my throat. It was closing down on me.
Oh, really?
The Parkinson's has tightened things up. I'm a firm believer. I don't have proof, but I'm a firm believer my neuromuscular disease was from contamination of ground zero. Although the government doesn't want to make a link to that, because that would be a big financial strain for them and open up a Pandora box for them.
Right.
But you know, there's cliches when giving lemons make lemonade, and I know it sounds corny, but the reality is this. If 10 years ago, if somebody said, the analogy is drive from Florida to California, I can do it in Maserati in 7 days. And then now, it takes me 3 months. I can still see the Pacific Ocean. It's just going to take me longer. So for those that have injuries and ailments, and especially athletes, got bad knees, Ian Harrison got his pro card after two knee patella tendon surgeries.
Right.
Post surgery, he became a pro. Nate Wansley, broken neck, becomes a pro, and the list goes on. So, you know, Dexter Jackson was a little guy. He'll never make it. Never make Mr. Olympia.
Right.
So you got to keep dreaming. You got to keep the passion. And even though I have physical ailments, I'm still gonna strive to better myself. Not on the pro stage; those days are over. But to be a better dad, stay healthy, to help with the kids out and do everything. And like I said, promote the show. My show is coming up September 13th. St. Pete Muscle Classic. It's going to be at the Tampa Convention Center on Saturday, and we got a lot of fun things coming up for the show.
What do you got planned for the show, Mark? Any guest
I've talked to other promoters about this, and traditionally, and I think it has to do with financial, a lot of the shows are done in high schools.
Yeah.
And that's fine, that's cool, and I get it. The one downfall for that, my belief is, you don't reach the peripheral fan. What I mean by that is, you and I are diehard fans. If somebody said we're going to have a bodybuilding show in the basement of a metal shop,
we'd show up.
We put our work boots on and show up.
Right.
But Aunt Susie and Uncle Johnny are not going to come.
Right.
So if you had a bodybuilding show, let's say at Disney, people who care less about you competing are going to come. Well, now, yeah, of course we're going to see John.
Yeah.
And so I tried to experiment this year, and we're going to do it at the convention center because it offers peripheral entertainment.
Okay. The
boats, the restaurants, the different things. And I'm going to see statistically if I'm able to draw those people that wouldn't have not have necessarily come.
Yeah.
There's a cost-effective analysis. There's a marketing thing. There's an increase in spending. But will that extra $100 investment bring me in $300?
Yeah.
So post-show, we'll analyze it. But my philosophy is to try to offer some peripheral entertainment. And I haven't offered it yet, but I always think out of the box, offer a band at halftime or whatever. Yeah. Or something for the kids, get a blow-up thing where they bounce around and try to make it more kid-friendly.
Right.
And make the showtime earlier. The one thing great about being a promoter is the NPC gives you a blank canvas. They give you the size, just a little bit of parameters, and you paint it.
Yeah,
you paint it. So if you want to have,
you can create your own thing.
You know, a gated wrestling show at halftime. The chairman may laugh at it, but you know, So I would like to try to still maintain the credibility of the sport. I don't want to warp that and change what the competitors got to wear, what they got to do. But I want to put it in an area where it offers maybe a little bit more and has a little more enticing appeal to the general public to bring them in.
Right.
So
yeah, I'm all for that. I think that's great that as a bodybuilding promoter, you're trying to get more of the general public in, you know, because I think that's really how we grow the sport. And there is a lot that they don't understand it because they may not understand what bodybuilding is, but if they go see a show, they might really get hooked.
Right. I agree. If we have, the end justifies the means. So if we're giving away free spare ribs and outdoor barbecue to a show, and then they come in and watch the show and it changes their life, then that rib was worth it, you know?
Right.
So there's all kinds of ideas. I'm always thinking, I thought out, and I'm like, yes. Ooh, that doesn't sound too good. Yes.
Yeah.
So, you know, you come up with 10 thoughts and maybe one of them works. So,
right.
But the exciting thing as a promoter is is that creativity.
Yeah.
Even stage presence. I'm getting a bunch of tropical flowers and a couple palm trees and different things, trying to spice it up and stuff. And
yeah.
I'm going to offer. I'm doing what a big backdrop of a beach scene. And when they come off stage, we're going to take their picture with that beach scene back.
Oh, cool. That's great.
And, you know, and then sell those photos for $5 outside the venue.
Yeah.
Get them developed during the in between. And have them posted on a big board.
That's great.
I thought of that on a cruise ship.
Yeah.
So wait, a cruise ship
that's what cruise ships do, right?
And it's impulse buying. Yes, I understand it, but it's a memorabilia thing, and also it's a marketing ploy for the show because you can put your show name on there.
Yeah.
So it works for the promoter, and it also works for you because it's a memorable moment, captivated by the camera. So. Just different things.
Yeah. All right, Mark. Well, we wish you the best this weekend. St. Pete Muscle Classic at the Tampa Convention Center, September 13th. What time is the prejudging and night show?
Prejudging's at 10 and night show's at 5.
Okay, Mark. Well, thanks.
Okay, thank you, John.
Appreciate you joining us on the Florida Physique Report, and we wish you the best of the show this week and in the future.
All right. Thank you.
This is John Hansen with the Florida Physique Report.